Hello, my dear friend. A very warm welcome to all of you. In this session, we are going to discuss the difference between yellow fungus, white fungus, black fungus, and how we treat them. What is the treatment of all of these three? But remember, first thing that these fungus infection are not contagious, because many people are very scared nowadays that they will acquire this fungus and black fungus, white fungus. But tell it to all the people you know that it is not contagious. It is not spread from one person to another unless you are immunodeficient. Second thing is that these funguses should not be remembered by their color, because their color can be dependent on the organ in which they are growing. And so the color is not so distant gift. It's not so worth remembering. So the first type of fungus we have is the Mucor septicus, the new entry into the gang. And this Mucor septicus will present as lethargy, loss of appetite, weight loss, unnecessary fatigue. And so these symptoms are totally different than the black fungus symptoms. Okay. So it will be presenting as this weakness and general body ache and all those things as the initial symptom. But if it is more serious type of Mucor septicus infection, then it can present with symptoms of sunken eye like malnutrition or organ failure and necrosis. Okay. And we treat all these patients who have Mucor septicus by injection liposomal amphotericin B. I hope you know that. And the dose of liposomal amphotericin B is only 5 to 10 milligram per kg per day. If you are not finding liposomal amphotericin B, we can treat them by deoxynate amphotericin B, which is given in the dose of 1 mg per kg per day. But the toxicity of deoxynate amphotericin B is more severe than liposomal amphotericin B. Second thing is that liposomal amphotericin B should be given by a thick peripherally inserted catheter, and it should be given in 5% dextrose solution. And before giving liposomal amphotericin B, we have to make it sure that the hydration of patient is well. So we first infuse normal saline, then we give liposomal amphotericin B in 5% dextrose solution. Okay. Now, what are the reason why yellow fungus develop? Yellow fungus also have the same reason of occurrence, which is there for white and black fungus. What is the common reason? If you are immunodeficient, if your immunity is low, if there is less antibody in your body, or if you are having uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, uncontrolled sugar, or if you are using steroid for a longer time. Because we all know that if we use steroid for a longer time, it will lead to lesser immunity. Now, yellow fungus is specifically found to be more commonly associated with contaminated environment and unhygienic or dirty surrounding. So yellow fungus is more common in dirty surrounding and all, okay, than white or black fungus. So this is our yellow fungus, Mucor septicus, treated by liposomal amphotericin B, present with lethargy, body ache first, and then go to sunken eyes and necrosis. Second type of infection, which is commonly found in Indian patients, it's not a new infection. It is present since very long time in immunodeficient patient, that is aspergillosis. And aspergillosis can be broadly divided into three types. First are allergic aspergillosis. Allergic aspergillosis have allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis, in which patient will have symptoms similar to asthma. And there will be wheezing. And if you auscultate the chest, you can find the wheezing sounds and all. And there can be raised eosinophilic count in the blood and all. And second type is the allergic sinusitis, present involving the sinuses only. Then there is one more type of aspergillus infection, which is azole resistant, because we treat allergic aspergillosis with tablet itraconazole. But in case of azole resistance aspergillus fumigatus, we again need injection liposomal amphotericin B for the treatment. Okay. So in the end of the discussion, we will summarize the treatment of all of the four type and the difference between the four. We will summarize them. Okay. But remember, the treatment of allergic aspergillosis is itraconazole, and if it is azole resistant, it is liposomal amphotericin B. Second type of aspergillosis is when it is invasive, and when it is more serious type of aspergillosis. So these three aspergillosis, what is chronic pulmonary aspergillosis means? There will be 3 or 4 aspergilloma. A lot of ball of fungus will develop in the lung. Then it can be invasive aspergillosis, and invasive aspergillosis can also have cutaneous manifestation, and it can also be found on skin. So in these cases, we treat by tablet voriconazole. Okay, voriconazole. And if it is aspergilloma, we may need to do surgery. Okay, and then after surgery, we treat it by antifungal drugs, of course. Okay, which can be itraconazole, voriconazole, or other group of drug like capofungin, micafungin. So that's what it's written in this table also. Okay, so this allergic aspergillosis which we have, remember, is bronchopulmonary or sinuses and treated by itraconazole. The invasive aspergillosis is treated by voriconazole, and so the invasive aspergillosis will be treated by voriconazole. But if you have more serious type of aspergillosis, then you need capofungin or micafungin type of drugs, or you can use liposomal amphotericin B, isaconazole, posaconazole also to treat invasive aspergillosis. And if it is aspergilloma, we treat it by surgery and antifungal medication. Okay, so that is aspergillosis which we have. Now let's talk about white fungus. This white fungus is a wrong name because white fungus is the Tremella fusiformis which is used in Chinese soup and other places. Don't be scared of Chinese word every time. And usually the doctor, when they are referring white fungus, they mean candidiasis. And we all know that candidiasis can be found on mouth, can be found on tongue, can be found on esophagus, or it can be found on a skin when there is cutaneous candidiasis. And it can be found in your private part. But private part is nothing but just vagina or penis. So we all know that in pregnancy, many female, they have this white discharge, and along with white discharge, they have itching in the vaginal area, white discharge with itching during pregnancy. That is due to Candida albicans infection. So Candida or white fungus is very common, and this is, some people also call it leukorrhea, but this is white discharge with itching during pregnancy, which is typically mostly due to Candida. And it can occur even without pregnancy. There can be white discharge with itching. So in these cases, what we give is, we give Candid vaginal pessary or clotrimazole vaginal pessary. Okay, so this clotrimazole vaginal pessary for the treatment is given for 5 nights. We ask the female to put this Candid, clotrimazole is the chemical name, but Candid is the brand name by which it is come. So we ask the female to put this vaginal pessary inside the vagina for 4 nights. Okay, it comes with a plastic dispenser, and female just has to keep it inside the vagina for 5 nights, and this candidiasis will be treated. You can also give tablet cetirizine for itching, complaint of itching. You can give tablet cetirizine 10 mg in the night for the treatment of white discharge. Okay, so this Candid infection is not so common, is not so common, and it is not so it's not so scary also. Like, we can treat this Candid infection. So white fungus is not so dangerous unless it is invasive and it is not detected at an early stage. Only then it can be dangerous. For example, the main havoc or the main disturbance which occurred was due to the news of 4 cases of white fungus in Patna Medical College 4 or 5 days back. So when this discussion was having on this white fungus infection, at the same time, the chief of microbiology at PMCH, he said that we found funguses in the lungs of these 4 patients. All these 4 patients, they receive antifungal medicine, and after receiving antifungal medicine, they all recovered. So it it proves that white fungus is not so dangerous. Candidiasis is not so dangerous. We need not to be scared of every fungus. Now let's discuss the X-ray of candidiasis, aspergillosis, and mucormycosis separately. Candidiasis is not so localized. It is diffused mostly, but these are the X-ray of candidiasis. But when it is mucormycosis, it is more or less localized. And when it is aspergilloma, then it can present with like ball-like structures here, or it can present with localized infection here. So aspergilloma and mucormycosis looks almost same. Candidiasis is more so diffuse, okay? But still the difference is not so clear. Now, in the CT scan of candidiasis, you can see such type of growth, okay? But in case of mucormycosis CT scan, you can see that the lung parenchyma is very much destroyed, okay? So it's more, mucormycosis can be more destructive, can be more evasive. If it is aspergilloma or aspergillosis, then the CT scan will look like this, and it can have this ball-like structure aspergilloma, or it can be invasive aspergillosis shown in the next CT scan. Okay, this is the invasive aspergillosis which you have. Okay, now let's come to the treatment of white fungus. Mostly white fungus can be treated by tablet fluconazole, but if it is invasive candidiasis involving the lung parenchyma, then we need echinocandine group of drug, and we treat it by capsofungine, micafungine, or anidulafungine type of drugs. And all of these drugs are given by IV route. But remember, candidiasis can mostly be treated by medicines. Okay, and this is the treatment that we give. Now let's talk about black fungus, because that is more common in every state. Okay, and we all know that to control black fungus cases, we have to control the hyperglycemia. We have to monitor blood glucose level of the patients. We have to use steroid only in those cases which are admitted. We should not use steroid at home, because excess use of steroid is also leading to the cases. Then the government guidelines says it that we should use sterile water for humidifier during oxygen therapy, because not using sterile water and not changing water of oxygen cylinder every day can also be the cause of some cases of black fungus. One more cause of black fungus being found is that government allowed industrial oxygen to be used. Now, when we are using industrial oxygen, it is not so much purified. Plus the oxygen cylinder which we use to take that industrial oxygen is also not so clean. So that can also have lead to development of some cases of black fungus among the patients who need oxygen. They can have acquired the infection of black fungus through the industrial oxygen or through the humidifier also. Okay. One more thing which is very common but neglected by many people is that if we use antibiotic or antifungal very carelessly, that can also cause cases of black fungus. Okay. Remember, all these fungal infection are mostly opportunistic. That means they do not occur in the people usually, but they can occur if they have uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, immunosuppressive status, prolonged ICU stay, or they have voriconazole therapy. One more predisposing factor is voriconazole therapy. Now, when it comes to how to prevent, government says to use mask when you are visiting construction site. Of course, you have to use it even when you are not visiting construction site. Wear shoes, long trouser, long sleeves, shirt and gloves while handling soil, and maintain personal hygiene, including thorough scrub bath. Okay, but you need not to panic a lot. Like around 1.5 months back, my mother also developed COVID-19, and she had all the symptoms similar, very peculiar of COVID-19, loss of smell, loss of taste and all. And she is also diabetic. So does it mean that I should be in panic stage and I should be scared of everyone? No one should talk to my mother, no one should go near to her. No, it's not like that. What we have to do is, we just have to make it sure that my mother's sugar is under control, first thing. Second, I have to make it sure that If she is going out, she is going out with a mask. Third thing I have to make sure is that she is not doing any work of gardening or other thing. Other than that, we need not to be very scared of this fungus thing. Okay. Plus, it's not that we should isolate the person who is diabetic and who had COVID. We should not isolate persons just on this basis. Okay. Now, let's move ahead and let's discuss the warning signs or the early signs of detection of black fungus. So this is the warning signs which the government is saying: pain or redness, fever, headache, because these three things can be there if you have rhino-orbitocerebral, ROCM. Rhino means nose, orbito means eye, cerebral means brain. So if you have rhino-orbitocerebral mucormycosis, these can develop in you. If you have mucormycosis involving the lung, you can have cough, shortness of breath, or blood in the vomit. And if the growth of some mucor has occurred in the brain, it can also lead to altered mental status, okay, confusion and everything. So these are some of the watch out symptoms. But how to diagnose early? What are the common features? Because if the patient develop this type of blackening or this type of ptosis, eyelashes are falling, then it is being too late, and now there is not much use of it. So we have to diagnose it early. To diagnose it early, we have to look for nasal congestion or nasal discharge. It can be red or black. But remember, if a patient just have red, like again I am giving an example from my family, but because it happened that like 4 days back, my wife who is pregnant and who had COVID-19, when we all have COVID-19 in the family, she also developed it. So she had blood discharge from her nose. When she was on the duty, I dropped her and she said that she had some blood discharge from the nose. So it doesn't need that we should be panic there. We should go to ENT doctor. ENT doctor will look by endoscope, and when she was examined, my wife was examined, it was found that it is just some nasal crust which was deposited, and due to removal of that nasal crust, due to dust and all those things, there is some bleeding. Okay, so not every bleeding has to be taken as black fungus case, but we have to take it very seriously, and we should not miss any bleeding cases. We should always send all these bleeding cases to ENT doctors. Okay, so if there is any bleeding from the nose, red or black, if there is any nasal congestion, if there is swelling of the one side, like in this female, you can see below, this type of swelling is very common. But even if there is lesser swelling on one side of the face or the nose, it can be an early sign. Then if there is pain over one side, if there is blackish discoloration, if there is loss of teeth, jaw pain, or if it is orbital, then it can present with double vision or blurring of vision. If it goes to the orbit, there will be double vision or blurring of vision. If it goes to lung, there will be chest pain and difficulty in breathing. So we have to identify it early, because we all know that in mucormycosis, the case fatality rate is 50%. So 50% people die. Okay. And I was just explaining this all the sinuses, because the entry of black fungus occur mostly from the nose, and then it can go to the frontal sinus. If it goes to frontal sinus, there will be symptoms of headache. There will be symptoms of, and if it goes to the orbit from frontal sinus, it can lead to double vision and blurring of vision. Okay. And if it is going to maxillary sinus, then it can cause the loosening of teeth, and the pain in the jaw and other things. And then it can also affect the sphenoid sinus and the ethmoid sinus. So these are the entry point and then the spread of the black fungus. Now, when we are collecting sample, there is a guideline by AIIMS Rishikesh on how to collect the sample. When it is rhino-orbital mucormycosis, remember, we should not collect the dry swab. Dry swab is not permitted. What we have to take is the exudate. And suppose some pus is coming from the mucor growth, okay, or suppose there is lesion in the hard palate, then we can take the exudate from there, or we can do the endoscopic, and we can collect the tissue biopsy. If it is cutaneous, again we should not take material from open wound or dry wound. We should take material from a wound which is either closed. So we will open that abscess, and then after opening the abscess we will take the material, or we can take the aspiration from the cutaneous mucormycosis. If it is pulmonary mucormycosis, we should not take just saliva saline wash. Sputum is okay. Sputum is taken as sample, but not saliva saline wash. If it is GIT mucormycosis, we cannot collect feces. We have to do endoscopy biopsy and then collect the sample. Similarly, for renal also, urine is not allowed. We have to do the biopsy and collect the sample. So remember, urine, feces, saliva saline wash, and nasal dry swab or material from open cutaneous wound is not allowed. We can take sputum, or we can take sample of biopsy. And whenever we are taking sample from biopsy, especially in case of cutaneous mucormycosis, we should take it from the center and the edge of the lesion, and not only from the edge. We have to take it from center and edge both. Okay, so that's how we have to collect the samples. So one more thing we have to learn is the treatment of mucormycosis, for which we can divide mucormycosis into different stages, and then we have to know the treatment according to the stage. So first thing is that if mucormycosis is of stage 1, 2, 3A or 3B, this is stage 1 or 2 mostly involve the sinuses, and 3A and 3B means it will have minimal or bital involvement, minimum involvement of eyeball. So by minimal or bital involvement, what we mean? We mean that in this case the eyesight is preserved. The eye is functioning normally. Eyesight is preserved. Okay. So in these cases, of course, we will give injection liposomal amphotericin after removing mucormycosis by surgery if needed. Then we have stage 3C and 3D. In 3C and 3D, there is extensive orbital involvement. So in this case, when there is extensive involvement, the eyesight is lost. So we need to remove the eyeball by exenteration, okay? And then we need to give liposomal amphotericin for a longer duration. Then there are stage 4A and 4B, in which there is some minimal CNS involvement. So in this case, again, we will do the surgery first and we will start the liposomal amphotericin B. But if the patient go to the last stage, stage 4C or D, then there is extensive CNS involvement. And in case of extensive CNS involvement, we should not do the surgery right away, because many a time these patients have like their oxygen saturation is also very low. They have multiple infections. So we could not do surgery in these patients 4C and D very readily. Okay. So these are the various stages we divide mucormycosis, especially the rhino-orbitocerebral mucormycosis. We divide it into these stages and we treat like this. I hope this discussion, in which we discuss about mucor septicus treated by liposomal amphotericin B, aspergillosis, if it is allergic, we treat it by itraconazole. If it is invasive, we treat it by voriconazole. And if it is azole resistant, we treat it by liposomal amphotericin B. Then third thing we discussed was candidiasis, which can be treated easily by medicines like fluconazole or medicines of echinocandin group like capsofungin, micafungin. And then the fourth thing we read is about black fungus mucormycosis. And we know that the treatment is by liposomal amphotericin B or posaconazole, isaconazole. Because first we give liposomal amphotericin B in all these patients, in all these stages, we give liposomal amphotericin B. And we give liposomal amphotericin B for 3 to 6 months. Liposomal amphotericin B that we give it for 3 to 6 week first. 3 to 6 week means 21 day to 1.5 month. But it's not all. After that, we also give either posaconazole or isavuconazole, because now there is shortage of even posaconazole in the market. So when we start giving posaconazole, we give 300 mg of posaconazole. On the first day, we give it twice a day, BD on first day, and after that, once a day for 3 to 6 months. So this is a very long treatment which we are giving. If posaconazole is not available, then we can give isavuconazole, and isavuconazole can be given 200 milligram. It is given 3 times a day for 1 to 2 days. First 1 to 2 days we give it 3 times a day, and then it is given once a day for 3 to 6 months. Okay, once a day for 3 to 6 months. So the treatment is also very time taking, and we need to do surgery before starting liposomal amphotericin B. So it's better to detect mucormycosis black fungus by early warning sign. Okay, so that's all from my today's discussion. Hope this session is useful for you, and hope you can and you will identify black fungus, white fungus and aspergillosis very early in your patients, and you treat them very effectively. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. Hasta la vista, das vidania. Have a nice life. Bye bye.